Slepsky!
Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky, and I've got a very special episode for you this week. Every week's a special episode, but this week is particularly special. If you've been following along and you're a Joe fan, you know that the next episode is called Skeletons in the Closet, which is the episode that we're going to do today. However, if you're familiar with that episode, it happens to involve Lady Jaye taking a trip to Scotland. And we all know that Destro is also from Scotland.
Hi.
So I thought, wait a minute, I've got a buddy of mine who is here fresh from Scotland. So I would like to introduce today's episode, who's going to give us an expert opinion on the accuracies and details of not only Scotland, but also the ghosts that haunt the castle in this episode. Mr. Scot Peacock. Scott, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh my God, it is such a pleasure to have you. You are from Scotland.
The genuine article.
The genuine article.
Absolutely.
You're from Glasgow?
Glasgow, yeah. Well, I've lived in Glasgow since the millennium, but I'm from originally the northeast, the cold, remote part.
Now, where in relation to Braveheart is that? So I think most of our listeners will look at Braveheart and go, okay, from Braveheart, he was northeast of Braveheart.
Yeah, northeast of Braveheart, but in reality, Braveheart was filmed in Ireland.
It was.
Oh, it's a real bone of contention back home.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't give them the tax breaks, so they shifted off to Ireland for the big
Really?
scenic bits. Apparently, yeah. But
Really?
But you know,
how different is the climate between Scotland and Ireland?
Oh, they're just as wet as each other.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, I say because not only am I American, but I'm also from Chicago. I say Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Yeah, but I don't think that's correct.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Right, okay. Repeat after me. Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Right, the thing about speaking Scottish is that we have real emphasis on the vowels, but they're short sounds.
Glasgow.
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 Right, Glasgow.
So really, in order to actually pronounce this correctly, I'm being serious here, you actually have to put on a Scottish accent. Is that what you're saying here? Glasgow.
Okay. Well, let's try this. Say Glasgow in your own accent.
Glasgow. From Glasgow.
No.
That's not
Glasgow.
Right. Glasgow.
Yeah, you're right. You have to be Scottish.
Yeah, you do. You have to be Scottish to
first.
pronounce it properly.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, everyone. If you're not Scottish, you're crap.
Heed, move.
Heed. Oh, okay. So let's get into that. Let's jump over to that topic. What is your thoughts on Michael Myers? He doesn't slander the good name of Scots people. He actually celebrates Scottish people.
I have to say he nails it.
He really does.
He really does. When he plays his father in So I Married an Axe Murderer, he even got the kind of beer completely down to T. McEwen's export. You know, he's sitting there going, heed, move.
Yeah.
The armchair is littered with empty beer cans. McEwen's export. That was the drink of the late 70s, early 80s.
Really?
Yeah, it was the only one you could get in Scotland. Either that or Tennant's Lager. There was no kind of free houses or independent ales or anything. It was just those two. And they both tasted the same.
Here's a sidebar, which is good or bad?
Crap.
It
was Scottish and it was crap.
It's crap. Then actually, I'm going to tell a little sidebar story, which I don't see any other opportunity that I would ever be able to tell the story. Otherwise, you brought up Heed. I was at Champaign, Illinois, going to college, and I was working at TGI Fridays. In the restaurant was the kid who played Heed.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and I only knew this because it had been a couple years after the movie, so he had grown up because he was kids grow so fast.
He'd grown up.
Yeah, so so I didn't recognize him. His buddies pointed it out, like he was there with his high school. They were visiting or something, like doing something at University of Illinois, and they were like, "Hey, that's the kid from Sorry Man, that's Head," you know. So completely randomly, I had to use the restroom.
Right.
And when I walked in, there were as I was using the restrooms, Heed and one of his buddies flanked me, and apparently they had a gag where they would. I mean, we've all done this. This isn't brain surgery, but they started talking like out loud to each other, trying to embarrass the awkward way. I was a doorman at the time. The awkward doorman in the middle.
Right. Okay.
So they're like, hey, I don't know what Head's name is. Hey, Head, did you ever get that boil looked at? You're like, no, it's pretty gross. The doctor says it should be, it's just whatever. Like that's the conversation they had. And I didn't say anything, and I was finishing up what I was doing, and I just stopped and I went, yeah, it's about the size of a wee planetoid. And they both shut up.
It's like Sputnik.
Yeah, it's like Sputnik. It's about the size of a wee planetoid. And I don't, and then they kind of went, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, so
Your
it was,
accent's not bad actually.
yeah.
Aye, it's not bad.
Yeah, I'm going to put you in my belly.
Sorry.
I'm going to put you in my belly.
I beg your
what's
pardon?
his name? Fat bastard.
Fat bastard.
It's going to eat you, going to put you in my belly.
Yeah,
So it's like all the good that he did with If It Ain't Scottish, It's Crap and Head and that whole family. He kind of took it all back with Fat Bastard.
I have to say he wasn't my favourite. I didn't like him, but I loved So I Married an Axe Murderer. The father was spot on.
Yeah.
It's like pipe her down when he's at the wedding. It's all right. He's just pissed.
Right. Growing up, did you look at Scotty from Star Trek as a role model?
Oh yeah.
Jamie Doohan.
Absolutely.
Jamie Doohan.
Yeah, can't he change the laws of physics?
No, Captain.
He was brilliant because he was the only red shirt who didn't die.
It's true.
That's how hard the Scottish people are.
Very
right?
true. Yeah, it's very
He's
true.
the only red guy who didn't die.
Did they give him didn't like maybe the movies they would put him in a kilt and stuff? They were or is that
I don't recall him ever being in a kilt,
like
but
I
he
saw
did
him
play
in-
the pipes.
Yeah, right.
When Spock died,
That's right.
he piped out Spock. When they shot Spock
Yeah,
out
they shot him in the
torpedo.
torpedo tube. Yeah.
And it was all, and they played Amazing Grace, and there was the big full orchestra playing it and so on, and brought a tear to my eye.
Now, okay, so a lot of people say that what's the joke about bagpipes? Like it's the best weapon that Scotland has against the enemy, or something about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
There is a rumor that they were outlawed for being a psychological weapon.
yes.
Yeah. And there is a story apparently from the First World War in the trenches, the Battle of the Somme. Everyone would be, the Germans and the Allies would be cowering down in the trenches there. But the piper, the Scottish dude, would be standing up going, Heedlum hundrum, heedle hoo hoo, and walking backwards and forwards in plain sight. And apparently he didn't get shot because the Germans were like, yeah, he's dunk up. Yeah. Just off his head.
Do you play the bagpipes?
I don't. I did start learning them
Did
in my
you?
first year at university. And I had to stop because I was in a hall of residence. And if there's one thing worse than having somebody in the room next door playing the pipes,
Oh, I couldn't even
it's
imagine.
somebody learning to play the pipes. And
Oh.
it murdered my social life, so I stopped. And it's a
Yeah.
shame, actually, because it would have been great. I'd have made a fortune coming over here.
I like the sound of bagpipes.
From
I
a
do.
distance.
From a distance.
Aye.
I guess if they're right up close, it's a little jarring.
When they're right up close, they
But
are
like,
definitely a weapon of
yeah,
torture.
Yeah, I mean, like if you give me a good bagpipe like funeral scene in a movie, I'll be like, oh, okay, you put me right there.
Yeah,
you
that's
brought my emotions right to. I'm sad now.
Amazing Grace is one of those
Oh,
songs
yeah.
that they'll make me cry.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who I'm not afraid to admit that I have a good greet now and again.
Yeah,
That's what we say.
A good greeting?
A good greet.
good greet.
A greet. If you're greeting, you're crying.
Oh,
That's Scottish.
okay. Well, it's tax week this week, so I'm greeting.
Greet
I'm
away,
greeting.
pal.
I'm greeting.
That's reason enough.
So Scott, you're an English and media educator.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So when you teach English, I mean, you guys speak English in Scotland. So what do you like? You teach? Is you just teach English like you would hear, or is it not because it's not ESL?
No, it's... I like that.
Although-
we teach ESL. We do teach ESL in Scotland. In fact, I am an ESL teacher, but not to
Not
Scottish
to
people.
Scottish people, right? Okay, right.
Although I have to say, a lot of them would, do need it. No, it's a really good question because we speak English, but it's our own form of English, Grammatically, we follow the same, things like what's a comma, what's a semicolon, how do you construct a sentence, all that stuff is pretty much the same. But we do have our own names for things, like greeting.
Greeting.
Greeting means crying.
Yeah.
And sometimes we kind of say things in a very different way. So, for example, there's one that does cause a lot of head scratching when they first hear it. If we're sitting at a meal, having a dinner, and we've had lots of dinners here, Ellie's a dinner place, you go out.
Yeah.
At the end, if you finished your meal and you're ready to go, I would say to Jen, "Is that you?" She's like, what? Of course it's me. No, is that you? Which means, is that you finished? Is that you about to leave?
Yeah.
So in a typical Scottish conversation, one person would say, is that you? And the other would say, aye, that's me. Is that you? The first one would go, aye, that's me. And then in conclusion, that'll be us then.
Okay. That's really funny. See, first I'm thinking is, are you picking up the check? Like, is that you? Do you got this? Are you paying for this? No, I'm not paying for this. Are you paying for this? Well, no one's paying for it then. Let's blow without paying.
In Scotland, picking up the check is a taboo subject.
Is it really?
Oh, we don't talk about it. No,
I'm
only kidding. I'm only kidding.
That'd be amazing. Like, it's just a whole country of like dine and dashers. Like
dine and dashers?
Yeah, like dine and dash, where you dine and then you dash without paying.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, so it's like a whole country of people who just skip out on checks. Being a waiter is the poorest.
Well, the whole thing. There's that whole sort of generic cliche that Scottish people are mean. Do you have that over here?
No.
Oh, the English say that.
Yeah. Well, it's because they have a vested interest in making you guys look bad.
That's very true.
I don't think of Scottish people as mean. I think over here, like, you think of German people as being harsh.
All right. Okay.
I think we think of Scottish people as being like hardy, maybe angry, but not mean. And angry is different than mean. Like caber tossers. Like I'm so angry, I got to toss a caber.
That's right.
Give me a log, I'll throw it.
Yeah, to pass the time, we chop down trees and we hoof them.
Yeah,
we throw them in the air.
Yeah.
At each other.
Right. Yeah. But that's not mean.
No,
it's just like
creative aggression.
Yeah, you're getting your aggression out after being under the thumb of Britain.
We
won't go there. We won't go there.
We won't go there.
Well, I love it. We won't go there, but we are going to go to G.I. Joe.
Right.
This is a G.I. Joe podcast, and you have told me that your experience with G.I. Joe is absolutely
zero. The square root of bugger all. Nothing.
Had you ever even heard of it?
Well, I kind of had, but I seem to think G.I. Joe was like a nickname for soldiers in the Second World War or something.
It was. Yeah.
Oh, it was?
It was.
Oh, okay.
That's where the toy line got it from.
Ah, okay.
It was. But beyond that, though.
I do remember the first episode of Family Guy when they were, they were selling a toy action figure called G.I. Joe.
Oh, Jesus.
You pull the string. Yeah, G.I. Joe. You pull the string and he says, hey, you call this a bagel? I thought that's pretty funny. That's good.
That's pretty funny.
But I didn't get the original reference.
Right.
Was G.I. Joe an action figure?
Yeah, so we've covered this on the show a little bit. G.I. Joe started out as a 12-inch figure in the 60s.
Okay.
And like Barbie doll size.
Right,
this big.
right.
And then in the 70s, due to the rising cost of plastic manufacturing, literally, they said it was too expensive to make these dolls, so they shrunk them down to here, and then they also took the opportunity to invent Cobra, which is the bad guy, the terrorist organization.
Ah, okay.
So they created the whole mythology of G.I. Joe versus Cobra, and that's what we're into here on this show.
Right.
So we touch on the big dolls a little, every once in a while it comes up, but our thing is all about G.I. Joe versus Cobra. What were you into? Like, what was big for kids when you were about like 10 years oldish, like early teens in Scotland? Like, what was the entertainment over there?
Well, I can't recall much other than Star Wars, actually, because I just was completely Star Wars nutted out of my skull. Absolutely, yeah. But on TV, we had around about 10 and 11. It was the first time I became aware of kind of manga style animation. There was a cartoon called Battle of the Planets. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dun.
Battle of the Planets was great.
I was so into Battle of the Planets.
Really?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
That
Battle
huge.
of the Planets is awesome.
And Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds, yeah.
All of them got really cool themes. They all had cool themes back in the 70s and 80s.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant sequences at the start. What else?
Thunderbirds, Battle of the Planets. I love that.
And I used to love Space 1999.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah.
I do. I've tried watching. That's on one of the streamers, or it was on, and I've tried to get into that again. It's a little hard. But it was really cool, though.
It's one of those things where you wished it was just a bit better so you could love it more. Because I had so many great things about it. I had a killer theme at the start. The Eagles were fantastic spaceships. The effects still look good nowadays.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. But, it was craply written. It just was not good.
Here's a little note. One of the comic books' historically greatest artists, or at least influential artists, John Byrne, he got a start on Space 1999.
Right.
Yeah. So the comic books of Space 99, if you're out there and a comic fan, they're awesome because they've got amazing John Byrne artwork.
I think I had one of them.
Did you?
Yeah, of course, don't have it now, but I do remember the comics. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Did you know that Space 1999 was responsible for the Millennium Falcon?
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, the original design for the Millennium Falcon was, the Rebel blockade runner, the ship at the start of A New Hope that's being chased.
That looks like the ship from
Space 1999.
Right.
So that was originally the Millennium Falcon, and if you look at Ralph McQuarrie's original concept art, when they're in, the Death Star Bay in Mos Eisley, it's the Rebel blockade runner that's sitting there, not the Falcon. And George Lucas saw an episode of Space 1999 and then went back to the guys at ILM and said, guys, you're going to have to completely change it. This looks too much like the Eagle.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just sort of imagine these hippie lads sitting around eating their burgers saying, well, what the hell are we going to do then? George pointing to a half-eaten burger and said, well, just make it look like that.
Awesome.
And then the Falcon was born.
Yeah.
And the name Millennium Falcon comes from Space 1999. Because the Millennium is one after 1999.
Okay.
And an eagle is a bird of prey, just as the falcon
Stop
is.
it.
There you go.
Oh, my. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
You heard it here.
Wow. That's awesome. You are a Star Wars nut.
I am a complete and utter geek, and I'm proud of it.
Proud of it?
Proud.
So we're going to get going. We are going to watch Skeletons in the Closet. Are you ready, Scot Peacock?
I'm all set. Strapped in.
Fantastic. Hey, if you're out there listening, first of all, thank you very much. Thank you for telling your friends. I know G.I. Joe is a real tight-knit community, and you're out there and you're on message boards and you're sharing and you're going to Joe convention stuff. Tell them all about Joe on Joe. Find me on Instagram at Joe on Joe Pod, and that's Instagram, and it's Facebook, and it's Twitter. And you can feel free to send me an email to joeonjoepod@gmail.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show, I'll love to have you on. So, Scot Peacock.
Aye.
Captain.
Aye.
I can get more power, and it's going to go into this episode of Skeletons in the Closet.
The engine's bypassed like a Christmas tree, sir. Don't give me too many jumps.
Say the word haggis for me.
Haggis.
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 Here we go.
Now, you got to say it with feeling. Say it.
Haggis.
Haggis.
With that, let's start the show. All right, Scot Peacock. This is G.I. Joe.
I'm loving it already. Check out this sequence.
It's crazy, right? Like people fighting fist to fist fighting on top of a giant flying snake.
It's fantastic.
Doing acrobats, and that dude right there, that's Destro.
Okay, right.
He's a major player in this episode. He is Scottish. He's from
Scottish,
Scotland.
and he's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's
a Scottish bad guy. I love this.
He's an arms supplier.
Okay.
Yeah, his whole family has been arms suppliers going back to like Braveheart times.
Hey, pal, do you want to buy some nukes?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And he wears, and it's great. What's great about this episode actually is this gives you Destro's origin.
Right.
This is an important episode. So when you're a kid watching this, and if you've never read the comics or anything, this is the episode that opened up Destro's world for you.
Right.
Because you were always like, why does he wear the mask? He talks about it being a family thing. It's written by Flint Dille. Flint Dille is an amazing cartoon writer. He was pivotal in crafting the world of G.I. Joe and Transformers and stuff. He's great. So his episodes are always good.
Well, I was saying about Battle of the Planets. This is so Battle of the Planets.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's the Baroness.
Uh-huh.
And she is Destro's paramour.
Right.
Except this young filly.
How can I ever repay?
Right? Mm-hmm. This little blonde filly making some moves on Destro.
Well, hello.
Now, what do you think of Destro's open shirt, gold chain look?
He looks like your typical guy out in Dundee on a Saturday night. Chest open, medallion.
Pretty much, yeah.
But maybe if he wore a shell suit, he'd be identical. But he's got a grey complexion and he's bald. That's very Scottish.
Very Scottish, yeah. Very Scottish. Did you know in Scotland, were there a lot of guys running around with the high red collar, open shirt, gold chain look? Like leather pantsuit outfit? Is that a look? The true Scottish?
It is in the Glasgow gay clubs, yeah, but not in your standard pubs. They do dress up a bit, actually.
So, Destro and Baroness, we had a little bit of jealousy showing. we cut briefly to a world peace protest, and Destro is trying to sell off Rattlers and his tanks. So basically, we're running into Cobra's having some money problems. And what you may not know, Scott, is this is actually, watching these in order, as I have been for this podcast, they're actually been painting a picture of Cobra in financial trouble.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of neat. I never realized this when I was a kid because, either if you were watching them in order, you didn't remember them in order, and then you watch them in reruns, and then they're all in different order reruns. But just a couple episodes ago, the Cold Slither episode, Cobra was totally out of money, and like they ran out of money, so they tried this money making scheme, right? So in this one, Destro's running out of money too. So I'm looking at this, whether they meant it or not, it actually ramps up to a couple episodes that we're going to get to. It's called about Serpentor, which is basically the rejuvenation of Cobra.
Right.
They get a new leader, and they like we need a new leader. We're in the dumps, and that's being foreshadowed in these episodes leading up to it. And whether they meant to or not, it's great. Like,
and that's incredible. Actually, we're running out of money, so we're going to sell some arms.
yeah,
Not a commentary at all, is it?
Yeah. Wonder who would have thought of that in the 80s, the Iran-Contra 80s. So Flint and Lady Jaye, they're chasing Destro, and he's saved by a mysterious blonde woman.
I thought you were but
Coverta Fatale.
I am,
What?
but I'm also flesh and
Her name is Coverta Fatale.
That sounds
Which-
obscene.
Well, he says he thought she was a legend,
Right.
which means he must have heard of her.
Right.
So she's a real person.
With an incredible polo neck. Look at that.
Oh yeah, that's quite the
Yeah.
She is but a confused creature with whom I have been
I like the hat.
erroneously
Yeah.
linked.
Nice hat.
That's a good hat. Destro right there. He just denied. That's the word I'm thinking of. He just denied Baroness, like denying Christ. Because she was like, "What about the Baroness?" It was like, "Oh, she's just I'm not really with the Baroness," because he thinks he's gonna get some
That I cannot
sweet love. Now check this out.
From Coverta.
Yeah, from Coverta.
It has to do with
This,
an
we're getting
ancient
the origin.
family curse.
And this is where Scott. This is where I need you.
Years
All right,
ago,
okay.
one of
I'm on.
my ancestors was convicted of witchcraft. Stop him! Let me go! He was forced to wear a mask over his face for the rest of his life. His descendants were so angered that they vowed to
So
fight
this
the
was hundreds of
forces
years ago in
law and
Scotland.
order
Yeah.
I'm
forever.
confused because they were wearing English uniforms.
Shall all wear
Maybe it was
masks
England. Well, maybe it was
until
England.
law is
Ah,
cracking
right.
Down on
upon the
Scotland, right?
altar of history.
Of course, because the
Or-
invasions. Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't do their research.
I wouldn't contemplate that.
I
these
would never
guys,
accuse them of
these
not
guys
doing the
kn-
research.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I can tell. I mean, look at the hat.
I mean, it's a good looking at. It's like Carmen Sandiego is what she looks like.
Yeah.
We just found where Carmen Sandiego was. So on the Joes, that's Gung Ho, that's Roadblock, that's Flint,
Okay.
and Lady Jaye is the girl on the side. And Flint and Lady Jaye, they're a couple.
Okay.
So they're romantically linked.
So
And
there's
that's
actual-
Alpine, who's awesome.
So this is a kid's cartoon, but you've still got characters who are at it.
Oh yeah,
Oh wow, this is
Oh, yeah.
advanced stuff.
They're way at it.
Way.
Way at it.
Way.
Duke and Scarlet go at it. See, I picked up a one.
You're there. Yeah, you're with me.
That's mine.
This
That's
whole
my real
episode's
name.
Very romantic.
Here you go.
After considerable effort, we have identified you as the last living heir of Dame Agatha Doyle. Please come at
Is
once
Doyle
to
a,
Loch
Scottish
Lomond in
name?
northern
It's more
Scotland
Irish.
to lay
Okay.
claim to
Loch
Doyle
Loch
Manor.
Lomond.
Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond is that?
Loch, say it.
Loch Lomond.
That's it.
Is that a place?
That's a aye.
That's
Oh.
where she's going.
She's going to Loch Lomond.
She's going to Loch Lomond. She just inherited.
I just lived down the road
castle.
from there.
What?
I
You
just
did?
lived
Did
down
you
the road.
really?
Down the road from Loch Lomond. Yeah. Hey! Oh man,
Okay,
I'm
where are you?
homesick. Look at that.
Oh my God! There you were. There was your home. So you lived down the road from Loch Lomond.
Oh man, I'm
Loch Lomond.
I'm filling up.
Filling up.
I'm filling up,
Tearing
man. Can't handle it.
Can't handle it.
Can't handle it.
Kind of get more tears. That's amazing. So she gets dropped off. So she finds out she's got a great aunt that leaves her this dusty, musty old Scottish castle.
Yeah, that looks pretty typical.
What it looks like James Bond's childhood home in
Yeah, Skyfall.
Skyfall.
That's
yeah.
right, yeah.
That's what it's like. She's gonna run into Albert Finney.
There's gonna be booby traps
Yeah.
in the light
That
switch.
face before.
No. So there's a painting, and
Hey.
the painting looks just like
The
Lady
other one
Jaye.
looks like me.
And the other one, though,
is
a woman in a metal mask.
oh right, hence the hair.
Yeah,
Right.
Which makes me think Destro.
Destro is a crossdresser.
I don't think he's a crossdresser.
Okay.
But I think that's like his ancestors. So like all the people in the family wore it. So even the women would wear it.
His family were crossdressers.
That might have been a woman, Scott.
Oh,
We're not
sorry.
necessarily
Yeah, I have to move off that train of
saying
thought.
that he was a crossdresser.
Right.
But we get a mysterious bearded guy. Looks a little like Shipwreck, not Shipwreck, but bearded guy comes walking in, and every head in the pub turns around. How accurate is this from what a pub looks like? Like, is this,
Oh no, listen to his accent. Nay solicitor in this tune. Oh, that's terrible.
Where's the manor house?
You can see it over there.
That's Irish.
The
That's not
moors
Scottish.
beneath covering it. There it stands.
Well, that's the same actress that's the Baroness doing the voice.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's the same actress, yeah. But she's doing more Irish than Scottish.
She's Irish, yeah.
Did you have castles like this around you?
Oh, we still do.
Still, I mean,
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
aye,
like it's,
aye.
So did you know people that lived in them, or are they just rusty and old and rotting?
No. Actually, why am I laughing? Yes, I do.
Do you
I
really?
knew the Stewart family just outside my hometown of Arbroath, and they ran a castle.
Just give a shout out to the Stewart family in case they're listening.
Hello, Stewart. How you doing?
We're going into commercial with Lady Jaye getting haunted by a ghost. Today's Filecard features on the G.I. Joe Covert Operations Specialist, codenamed Lady Jaye. Her file name is Allison R. Hart Burnett, and her primary military specialty is intelligence. Her secondary military specialty is personnel clerk. Birthplace, Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, and she is a grade E4. Lady Jaye graduated from Bryn Mawr and did her graduate work at Trinity College in Dublin, where she acquired the faint Gaelic lilt that adorns her speech. An accomplished actress in mime, as well as studied linguist, she can easily pass as a native in France, Italy, Poland, Russia, Germany, Afghanistan, Spain, and Portugal. She is airborne and ranger qualified, graduated intelligence school, Fort Halliburton, and she's a qualified expert in the M16, M19 11A1, and the reflex crossbow. Quote, Lady Jaye doesn't go in for that phony wig and rubber mask brand of disguise like those jokers on Mission Improbable. She becomes the subject. Body language, subtle gesture, correct shading of dialect, the right look in the eye. Cloaked and sandaled, she can squat down with a basket of oranges in any Middle Eastern marketplace and blend in perfectly. What else can we say about Lady Jaye besides she is amazing? I was shocked to realize I hadn't done her yet, and this is the perfect episode to get Lady Jaye in the mix. Fantastic on the cartoon. One of the absolute strongest female characters on any show, regardless of cartoon or live action. She is a standout, always holds her own in a fight. She's always got something witty to say, whether it's talking about her hair rinse or in this episode, talking about wanting to sell the guy something in the face of capture. Her romance with Flint, which we know becomes, she eventually becomes a parent with Flint. I don't think their marriage works out, but she does have a child with him, is fantastic because it shows longevity, so she survives the fights. We love Lady Jaye. And so to Allison R. Hart Burnett, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Which, Scot Peacock begs the questions, are there ghosts in Scotland?
Well, clear his throat. Just along the road from where I live, there's Glamis Castle. Now, Glamis Castle is one of the settings in Macbeth, right?
Okay.
And it's the birthplace of the Queen Mother, who's now dead, but her daughter's still going, Lizzie, her on the throne down in London. But the Glamis Castle has got a green lady that haunts the halls.
Really?
Yeah. The story goes, there's if you count the number of windows inside the castle and then count the number of windows outside the castle, there's one more.
Shut
So
up.
there is a secret room holed up somewhere.
Shut up.
The ghost comes from there.
This is ridiculous.
I tell you this.
Oh, I feel like Lady Jaye right now. I'm scared out of my mind.
I've got a chill going through my bones.
That is kooky. Lady Jaye brought her weaponry with her disguised as golf clubs.
Oh, right.
Her weapons, she throws spears with like different explosive arrows or net arrows.
Oh,
on
that's
them.
cool.
Yeah, so she had them disguised as golf clubs. So she just busted it out, but she's not believing that ghosts are real. She follows this ghost. See that like little sharp little spearhead on it?
Yeah, and she's got a bit of a wiggle there too.
Oh, you're like the third guest in a row to point out that Lady Jaye is a fox.
She is a fox. And now, you know, with her and Jessica Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't usually fancy cartoons.
Well, but when they're, you know,
Yeah.
when they got it, they got it. And let's not deny it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes in the basement, and those dudes were dressed like Thor, first of all. Literally Thor, like
Okay.
the Marvel comic book Thor. That's what their outfits look like. And I'm not joking. She stepped on a trap door, which opened, and a skeleton came out of the wall. There's a giant snake. There's all kinds of scary stuff. Do they have giant purple snakes in Scotland?
It depends how many mushrooms you've had.
Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness Monster.
Talk to me about the Loch Ness Monster.
I believe in it. I believe in Nessie. Oh, yes.
Nessie.
Absolutely, Nessie.
Have you been to Loch Ness?
I've swam in Loch Ness.
Are you saying that like, Nessie touched you with her tentacles?
I hope that's what it was.
Real quick, Lady Jaye just burst in on
Oh my
like
goodness.
a private ceremony where there's an eyeball octopus in the middle of a giant demonic well.
This is all getting a bit Cthulhu.
This has been real Cthulhu, and there's a bunch of actual humans. They're not ghosts. They're wearing animal heads, and they're praying to this demon god. So this is like a Wicker Man stuff,
Yeah.
like the movie Wicker Man, or
Eyes Wide Shut
Eyes
meets
Wide
Wicker
Shut.
Man
Yeah.
meets Braveheart.
right.
Yeah.
There's not as many kilts on this though as I expected. I
It's a
expected
bit
more kilts.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was more difficult to animate
Yeah.
than Blowing in the Wind.
Yeah, that mysterious guy from the pub earlier, he just snuck into the castle, and he's actually about to beat up on an old maid, but she can handle herself though. Look at that! Wow,
Wow,
that's amazing.
That's quite a move.
She's really okay. That old maid is
Here we
very
go.
talented.
Oh, she gets my vote. That's cool.
So we're gonna get back to Loch Ness Monster in a second. Oh
Yeah.
no!
Oh!
This dude just fell into a guillotine.
Off with his head.
Oh boy, that is awesome.
I'm quite amazed, actually.
Okay,
That's...
Lady Jaye's just she went to straight up being caught, and now she's being dropped into this pit with this giant octopus monster.
At a wonderfully revealing angle. Did you see that? That was amazing.
Lady Jaye's always got great one-liners.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cut me loose and I'll give you a donation. There's one episode early on, they're about to kill her, and she's like, okay, I admit it. I use a hair rinse. You know, like
Right,
she's
okay.
she's always quippy. I love Lady Jaye. She's always quippy. Well, check this out. Here comes Destro. And he beckons him to stop.
How did you learn of our secret chamber?
So Destro's down with this. Now, we know it's Destro, but he's supposed to be in discise. He's got like a hood on, and he's not really speaking with he's speaking with like a whisper.
You know, I'm really getting into this, actually.
Pretty good,
This is
right?
pretty cool, yeah.
She gets right to it.
Just stumble upon things.
Joe agents?
Yeah, see, he knows she's a Joe agent. It's Destro.
I love those eyebrows.
Now, do you think Destro sounds Scottish?
Not in the slightest.
I told you the truth. I
Not in the
inherited
slightest.
manor house.
He has been Americanized. He has been nationalized, whatever you want to call it.
Also, if that is his bare chest showing through, it's very orange.
Well, that's the fake tan, you see.
Yeah.
That's the fake tan.
Or it's like poisoning from the cheap
Yeah.
medallion. It's just well, real quick, we can't gloss this over. She says, I was really sent here on purpose. And he's like, that can't be true. This is my family castle. And she goes, well, maybe we have an ancestor in common. And he's like, get out of here. So the mysterious sailor shows up, and he's busting these animal heads. Also, there's a comedy show out of Australia called... Oh man, it's on Netflix. It's killing me now. But it's about a like a secret force, like Team America, and they always fight Hitler every episode, and it's absolutely bonkers crazy. And they wear animal heads like that.
Right.
It's
Okay.
absolutely hilarious. So Destro is making short work of this pirate captain guy. Destro looks good in a cape, by the way.
He does
doesn't
actually,
normally wear
yeah.
a cape. He looks pretty sweet.
I quite like this character.
Yeah. Jaye is she's kicking all the animal faces, knocking them into the pit. She's pretty awesome.
She is, actually.
So you've been to Loch Ness. You've swum in the lake.
Sorry, the loch.
The Loch.
That's it.
Well, we're going to commercial with lasers being shot at this mysterious guy, NJ. Hey, Joe on Joe listeners, here's a little break from the action with something I want to tell you about. I was recently at WonderCon, and I met a G.I. Joe toy dealer named James Kowalski. He's on Instagram at YoJoeDepot, D-E-P-O-T. He's got some amazing G.I. Joe collectibles at great prices and in fantastic condition. I personally bought myself a complete William the Refrigerator Perry with his weapon, which of course we all know is a football on a stick. Check him out on Instagram at YoJoeDepot. James Kowalski, thank you and we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
You've swum in the loch. Is there a difference between loch and lake, or is that's the word?
It's just the word for it. Yeah, exactly.
Is it super murky? Is it gross? Like,
It is. It's horrible, and that's the thing. People have taken photographs of what they allege to be.
Ta-da! That dude is Flint.
Hey!
The whole time he was in disguise.
That was a great disguise.
Yeah, what you don't know is G.I. Joe is all about disguises. They're always pulling masks off. It's like
Cool.
Mission Impossible.
Right, okay.
Everyone's always wearing a mask, and they're always like, ta-da, it's really me. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Oftentimes for no really good reason. Okay, so it's really murky and gross.
It's really murky. People have taken photographs of what they allege to be the monster, but it's like, part of a fin or something, and you can't see under the water. But I talked to a guy who worked on a boat that did a sonar sweep of the loch. They found 200 feet down a massive object that was like the size of a house.
Really?
They came back down the loch and it was gone. 20 years later, they got together some money to do another survey. It was there again, and then it wasn't.
Really?
So the guy said to me, it's inconclusive whether there is or isn't something down there because, scientifically, you have to repeat the experiment, get the same result. They got something down there, but it wasn't there on the second pass, and that happened 2 times.
Wow.
Nessie keeps us guessing.
How big is the lake? Loch.
Loch Ness is pretty huge because if you look on the map of Scotland, it's a very straight line. It's on a fault line.
Okay.
So it's like
so
almost 1,000 feet deep. It's
okay,
really,
so being
really
on a fault
deep.
line, if there's something there, it could be living in the fault line.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, the theory goes that something survived through the Ice Age in those labyrinthine caverns and so on along this fault line. And the North Sea that surrounds Scotland is maybe 300 to 500 feet deep.
Yeah.
Loch Ness is twice that depth.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's very murky, so it's a dark and dingy place.
And do they realistically, if there's something there, do they think that it's a family of things like passed down, or do they think it's one thing that has lived 200 years or 500 years?
Well, I think it might be something that might be kind of amphibian-like in the sense that it's hermaphrodite. So you don't need a pair to reproduce.
Yeah.
Honestly, these are actual theories that have been put forward as to whether it exists or not.
There's animals that do that change that reproduce asexually and like change sexes even. So that's not uncommon. It's a thing that happens.
If you ever go there,
by the way, that Snake Eyes, he's the best. That move he just did, flipping into the thing, is the best move Snake Eyes does ever. He does it in the opening of the G.I. Joe animated movie, and it's fantastic. So what's happened is the Joes are now assaulting Castle Destro because they're there to rescue Lady Jaye. We've got a dogfight going on in the air. Hang gliders, those are called Cobra trouble bubbles. Spirit and his bird Freedom.
I'm loving their vehicles.
Oh, they're great, right? And Flint and Lady Jaye are throwing down with a giant spider like out of Lord of the Rings, and a tiger face man comes busting through the door. Now
it's Shelob.
It is Shelob. Flint's like, I'm playing Skyrim right now, which totally could be in Scotland.
Right.
And Flint's pulling a Skyrim. That's how I take a big old axe and I take out spiders like that. And these people who never take their masks off, I don't think throughout the whole show, I'm assuming they're the townspeople that we saw earlier in the bar.
Right.
That's what I'm assuming they are.
That sounds like, because there's not much to do of an evening in Scotland, you know?
Yeah.
Except for put on animal masks and sacrifice each other.
Jaye and Flint are stuck in the spider's web. And here comes Bet's Barbecue. He is a fireman, which is the perfect guy to use for an air infiltration.
Of course, makes perfect sense.
But he's super Irish, though.
Right.
Yeah, and he's from Boston. And he's got the worst Boston accent you've ever heard. Like, he's hilarious.
Hello there. I'm from Boston.
Yeah, hey, the Viper's coming. That's Firefly. Firefly's awesome. Like, he's like, he was actually in the second live action movie, if you saw it. He's the demolitions guy who makes everything explode the whole time in the movie. That's Firefly's being used here. He's often confused for a ninja, but he just likes to wear camo.
This is a pretty awesome finale. I mean, like, this is big budget stuff.
It really gets big, right?
Yeah.
I love this. They bring Firefly so they can set things on fire and have him put them out. Not Firefly. They bring barbecue so he can put things out.
That's cool.
Yeah, right? Like, what's the point of having a firefighter there if you're not going to have him extinguish some fires?
I'll destroy things, but I'll clean it up again.
It's great. He's like, oh!
I love it. The old
Barbecue.
swinging wall trick.
Yeah, he just found a secret lair. Now it's Destro's castle, so of course it's going to have secrets. Of
course,
A
yeah.
little old
Technological stuff, right?
holographic ghost maker.
That explains the ghosts.
There we go.
Turns out,
This is like Scooby-Doo.
right.
Yeah.
It's totally like an episode of Scooby. This is an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Those meddling kids.
It's also just like an amazing episode of the Monkees when they have to spend a night in a haunted castle.
Oh,
too.
that's right, yeah.
So Barbecue's using the ghost machine to scare the wits out of the Cobra troopers.
Right.
That was a cool shot, actually.
That breaks
shot of-
my heart.
They had Snake Eyes and Storm and Spirit on a weird angle, which kind of looked neat. And they're sitting in a pub,
Cornelia,
having a beer,
those
watching
years
Destro's castle
my
burn.
family home has stood, and now is no more. You truly do bring ill fortune to men.
Ill fortune.
And we're going to learn more about this mystery lady from the
Revenge,
beginning.
you faceless beast.
Yeah, is she though?
I arranged it all.
Check it out.
Oh, what?
Boom.
The big reveal.
I'm telling you, everyone's in a mask.
I love
You
it.
can't trust anyone to be who they are.
Except for Destro.
Dest-
He's probably the only genuine guy there.
Yeah, he's the only genuine guy in a mask who never takes his mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah. G.I. Joe, you could say they have a lot of advances in laser technology, like weaponry, transportation. Their best development in this world is mask technology. They have the best masks out of anything ever because they fool everyone.
Records, Destro, darling, you are. And this is but a taste of what
He is
suffer
he
if you
is related to
describe
Lady
me
J.
again
Wow.
as
That was not false.
confused
He is
woman
related to a
with whom
Joe.
I
How
have been
embarrassing.
erroneously
It'd be like if I were
linked.
related to a Republican. I'm just kidding.
Oh, please
sure
don't.
that I
no,
am.
no. Don't go there.
So now we get a brief recap. That little monster that was in the bottom of the pit, it's still there. So all that ghost stuff, some of it was real, dude. There's a monster at the bottom of the pit. And
I
that's
love
the
that.
episode.
That's fantastic.
Scott, that's it.
It even
That's how it
leaves you
is.
with a big question mark.
Yeah.
Was it real?
Yeah. Was there really a monster in the bottom of Destro's castle?
Okay, I'm a convert. I'm there. Give me an animal
You in?
mask. I'll put it on.
You in?
I'm in. I'm in, mate.
Ian? Okay. So you have an assignment when the next time you're back home in Glasgow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Glasgow.
Well done.
You have to look for demonic castles.
Okay. Listen, that's easy. You can't chuck a stone without hitting a
And you
demonic
have to
castle
trace
over
the
there.
lineage of the Destro family.
Right.
That's
The
what you have to
Destro
do.
clan.
Yeah, the Destro clan.
Destro
Clan
clan.
McCullough. Well, the Clan McCullough
Aye.
is the family name. They don't get into that on the show, but on his character name is
There
is,
can be only one.
Destro McCullen.
McCullen?
McCullen. That's the name.
Right,
Yeah.
now the McCullens come from the northeast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I can start up there.
Okay, you're going to be on the hunt.
I'm going to be
Turns
on the
out-
hunt.
Turns out you like knock on someone's door and he's like, Jesus, you're here about G.I. Joe, aren't you? Like
Yeah, they'll know it.
every 6 months, someone knocks on my door looking for Destro.
I'm looking for the origin of a cartoon family. The Destro of McCullen.
So if this show if this had run when you were a wee lad growing up, would you have watched it? Would this
yeah.
have been your jam?
I think so, yeah, definitely, because it definitely has the Battle of the Planets feel. Mm-hmm. And there was another one around about that time, which was American, called the Three Sentinels. Do you remember the Three Sentinels?
Sentinels.
They were named after Greek gods. They lived in a volcano.
What?
The Three Sentinels.
No.
Yeah, check it out. It was made by the same guys that did the cartoon Tarzan.
Oh, wait a minute.
Filmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Filmation's great. We've talked about Filmation a lot. Are you talking about Space Sentinels?
Space Sentinels, that's the one.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's the fella.
Yeah, that was a Filmation. Yep.
That was brilliant.
It was originally titled The Young Sentinels. It was renamed midway through its only season. Greek mythology features Hercules and Mercury are joined by Astrea, a character created specifically for the show, to form a superhero team to protect mankind.
That's the one.
That's fantastic.
That's the one. And the ship's computer was a big holographic head. And I can't remember his name. I'm thinking it was Joe, but that can't be. That's just
Joe.
because you're sitting here.
Joe.
Hey, Joe.
No, you're not. It was Mo.
It was Mo.
You're not
Right,
terribly
right.
far off.
That
it was Mo.
Hey, that's not
the
bad.
robot is. That's really good.
That's not bad.
That's
I have-
really good.
I haven't seen that since I was 8.
Yeah. And they only had one season. They only had 13 episodes too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a rarity.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, this was a real pleasure having you on. Thank you.
I've been loving it. Thanks very much.
I love it so much, and I know you're visiting now temporarily here, but hopefully you're going to be back over here soon.
Yeah, eventually, I reckon we'll get it 6 months or so.
Awesome. And you've been a delight.
Cheers, Joe. I've loved it.
Thank you for being on Joe and Joe. Remember, if you're out there, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Joe and Joe Pod. Send me an email, joeandjoepod@gmail.com. And Scot Peacock, now you Joe. And Joeing is half the battle.